afternoon, everyone, and welcome Shelton Park, Kempsville, and Glenwood Elementary Schools to this wonderful afternoon. We have a spectacular sighting of the very endangered African wild dog, or African painted wolf. I am Noelle, and on camera we have Vildy. Hi, Vildy. And don't forget, we are live, we are interactive, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat. Or kids, you can send your questions through your teachers, and they will let us know what you would like to ask us so we can answer. All right, so African wild dog, the painted wolf. There are less than 3,500 left on the whole continent, which means the whole world. You only find them in Africa. And as far as I know, it's only in sub-Saharan Africa. So that means south of the Sahara Desert, so about 2/3 of the continent, the southern 2/3 of the whole continent. Now, one picked its head up, thank goodness. It's very, very warm this afternoon. It's 29 degrees Celsius, which I believe is 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Nope, 92. I think it's 92. So very warm for us. So they've found a nice little piece of shade. They look like they've got some fat tummies. So possibly ate something either very early this morning, I would guess, maybe. Vildy saw them this morning and they were fat, so I would say early this morning. So they're called painted wolves because of how their fur looks. And now they're not related to domesticated dogs, and their relation to wolves is 3 million years ago. So 3 million years ago, there was a species, and then off of that species came the African wild dog and wolves, and then domesticated dogs far down the line came off of wolves. So if we get them to pop their heads up again a little bit, you're going to notice just how much they actually look like a domesticated dog. Their legs are very similar, their ears are similar, their body shape is similar. There's a head. But that's just because nature perfected their body shape, and they haven't really needed to move along further in the evolutionary chain because it just works so well. Now, they're always in a group like this, in packs. Sometimes the packs are 50 in number, sometimes they're 10. I've seen packs of 3. And they have an alpha male and an alpha female that are in charge. Alice, you're curious to know, what do the dogs eat? So a lot of the packs of wild dogs that I've worked with before eat things like kudu, and they eat impala and small zebra, small wildebeest. But with all predators, they have prey species that they prefer over others. So this pack I have only seen twice, and I've only ever seen them lying down like this. I haven't seen them hunting. My guess would be, with the size of the pack and with where they like to move, that it's probably impala and kudu. That would be my guess, my educated guess. Now, normally, they have a little bit of ADD, which means they move around quite a bit, but it's a bit too hot. So we're going to sit here and wait for them to move, and we're going to head over to my friend James on the other side of Djuma to see what he wants to show you. All right, so we've come over to the other half of this pack of wild dogs. I think I've counted 12 in total, and this view is much better than the other view we had. You can actually see them, their faces, their bodies, everything, much more clearly. Big, big, big ears so they can catch sounds really well. They make this interesting noise when they're contact calling each other. So a contact call is when they lose each other, possibly while hunting. They go, put their mouths close to the ground and go, whoo, whoo, and then it magnifies off the ground, and then they catch that sound with their big, beautiful ears. It's also a way for them to hear anything that might be approaching, whether that's something they can eat or possibly something that could harm them, like a lion. Cheetahs and wild dogs don't get on. Lions and wild dogs don't get on. Leopard and wild dogs don't get on. Spotted hyena and wild dogs don't get on. Anastasia, you're curious about how big the painted wolves get. So Anastasia, I would say that they're probably a small Alsatian or a small German Shepherd. That would be the best way I know how to describe them to you all. Shorter hair, more like a Belgian Shepherd. So a short-haired German Shepherd. I'm trying to think if there's another another size way to describe them. That's the best one I can give you, Anastasia. Maybe also the back size is sort of similar to a Labrador, but they're not chunky like a Lab. Cadence, you're curious if they chase anything. They do, Cadence. They chase their prey. So the way that wild dogs hunt is by either tiring their prey out, by chasing it down until it cannot run anymore, or they run it into something like a thicket of trees, or they just run a little bit faster than their prey can, depending on the scenario that they're in. Now, what's interesting about their chasing abilities is that they do not have claws like cats. Cats' claws get stuck into the prey's body, which helps them bring it down. The wild dogs have claws like your domesticated dog, so they're not stuck in there at all. They would just sort of slide off. So they nip around the stomach, and then they get the stomach, and then it opens up, and then the animal pretty much dies from shock right away. Something like a lion takes a lot longer to kill their prey. So they're very quick. It's messy, but it's very, very quick. All right, I believe James has something very large to show you. So let's head on over to him and see what it is. It is my favorite animal, James, my absolute favorite animal. So we get, in sub-Saharan Africa, we get the big five, which is lion, leopard, buffalo, rhino, and elephant. So James is with one of the big five now. And then you get the magnificent seven, which is the big five, plus wild dog and cheetah. So for me, out of the big five, leopard is my absolute favorite. But out of the magnificent seven, it's wild dog. I absolutely love them. I love everything about them. I love their structure, how it's an alpha male, alpha female, and the whole pack works together and is always together to make sure that everybody functions well and gets fed. They share really well, unlike lions. Lions don't share very well at all. The way that they move to take down prey in sort of these formations, how intelligent they are. They're just absolutely fantastic. And I also really enjoy an underdog, and they are the underdog of the predator world in terms of numbers. Humans have not been very kind to African wild dogs over the years. They were considered pests for a very long time, and so they were shot out in great numbers, not necessarily for hunting, for trophies, just they were pests and they must be shot. Coyotes in the States and wolves in the States also met a very similar fate in many of the places where they were, even in Canada, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's an interesting parallel between the two. John, you're curious to know if we get any fox species here. So in the area where I am, we don't get any foxes, but we get something called a jackal, which looks similar to a fox. Now, when you go up to the Masai Mara, where Jamie is, and in other parts of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, you get bat-eared fox. And then I feel like fennec fox is tickling my memory, but I think that's because I've been watching a lot of David Attenborough documentaries at the moment. So there's other parts, and northern Africa also has some fox species as well. But where I am, only jackals, black-backed jackals and side-striped jackals. So it's very similar to a red fox in the UK. Little bit different coloration, but I think the size is relatively the same. So they would be about half the size to a third of the size of these wild dogs. So similar to something like a Jack Russell, roundabouts in that size. So we've got this big cloud that is bringing much needed cool air to us. And as it's cooling down, the dogs are starting to get a little bit more active. Tyler, you're curious if the dogs ever fight. I've seen wild dogs fighting leopard. I've seen them chase leopards up trees. I've seen them trying to defend against lions. It doesn't always work very well. And I've seen male wild dogs fighting each other within a pack to try and take over as the new alpha male. But in general, they're very sweet with each other and they care about each other. I worked with a pack of wild dogs where one dog injured its leg hunting and the injury was quite bad, and they waited for him. So they would move, but they would always wait for him to catch up because he's part of the pack and they don't want him to be left behind. They're much nicer to each other than lions are. They need each other because they're smaller, and also the way that their structure works. It's very important that everybody is well fed and taken care of so that they can take down their prey. Ooh, Braden. Okay, so Braden, I have followed wild dogs before where they were busy hunting and was driving my car at, well, I of course is going to be repeated. I'm on live TV, but I was doing the speed that we don't normally do with guests. I'm just busy getting my calculator out so that I can try and tell you in miles. So with these guests, and I was determined not to lose them, and these guests had been on safari for 15 years and had never, ever seen a wild dog before, and a hunt with a wild dog is absolutely fantastic. So I was doing about 65 kilometers an hour with these dogs, which would be, sorry, just give me a second. Maybe let's watch the dogs while I'm busy trying to do this conversion to miles. Would be about 40 miles an hour. All right, so that's pretty fast. Pretty fast. Yes, now they're resting again. I'm thinking within the next 20 to 30 minutes, as this cloud cover comes over, they're going to start getting more active. So they're going to stretch, they're going to yawn, they're going to greet each other, they'll reaffirm their social bond with little noises that they make, and touching, and a little bit of giggling, and sort of, not smiles, but sort of burying the teeth, but in a nice way. But because of their full bellies, they're a little bit less active than normal. But you've noticed as we've been watching them, picking their heads up, putting them down, picking their heads up, putting them down, they're always aware of their surroundings. Troy, you're curious to know how many dogs can be in a wild... Sorry, Troy. How many wild dogs can be in a pack whilst hunting? So, Troy, they are always in their pack together, whether they're hunting or not. The only time there'll be members missing is if they've got a den site, and then they'll leave a babysitter behind. And the wild dog pack numbers differ for everywhere. So historically, there used to be packs of 50, 75, even up to 100. I've read somewhere that they've even counted 121 packs. Now, up to sort of 15, 20. The biggest pack I've ever seen is 40 in number, and they can stay larger as long as there's enough food and enough space for them to move in. They need a lot of space. I could sit, well, we're going to sit here for most of the drive, I think, especially if we think they're going to move, but I could literally sit with wild dogs all day, every day, and be a very, very happy chappy. It's just, the thrill of them, I know they're sleeping right now, but the thrill of them is beyond, I can't even begin to explain to you how lucky you all are to be seeing these dogs. I mean, there's just so few of them left, and it's such a rare sighting to have. The only thing that's not good about the wild dogs is they smell quite bad. Skylar, you're curious about why the female and the male dogs are called alphas. So it's not every female and every male that's called an alpha, Skylar. It's just there's one male and one female that are not necessarily mated for life, but mated for a good portion of their adult life, and they're in charge of the pack. So because they're in charge of the pack, they're called the alphas. Alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet. It's number 1, and that's why they are alphas. And then there'll be a female underneath the alpha female called the beta female, and if for some reason the alpha female can't have pups or get pregnant, the beta female will be allowed to get pregnant and have pups. But other than that, it's just her and her partner that will have the litters, and they're the ones that are in charge, and they know where to go for hunting and when to move and when not to move. So there's another vehicle that's going to come and join us from one of the lodges that's here. So they could hear this vehicle coming, so they picked their heads up and looked around and listened. While we're busy waiting for them to get moving, let's head back to James, who's busy bumbling around looking for something amazing to show you. So we've had a bit of movement and it has cooled down considerably. Our cloud cover has come across nicely and I've been hearing some oxpeckers in the distance behind us. So that generally means that there's some sort of a prey species that is meandering around back there. I'm hoping it's impala and I'm hoping they come out into the open here, and I'm hoping our wild dogs see them, and I'm hoping we get a bit of action. Those are all of my hopes for this afternoon. And I really think, even though they have definitely eaten something this morning, I really think that we have a good chance of seeing something happening. The area that we're in, this little open area, especially as it starts to get darker, tends to be a very good place for impala and wildebeest and zebra even to rest for the evening. Not resting by sleeping, but sort of it's an open area and they've got thick bush around them so that they can be in the open and feel safe, although I don't know how safe they are. And then if they need to move into the thicker areas, they can, because remember that night the prey species can't see. Now, something that's very interesting about wild dogs is, depending on how hungry they are, depending if they have pups, and depending on how much food they've eaten, depends on whether or not they're stationary at night, just resting and holed up somewhere, or if they're moving. I've caught wild dogs resting just as much as I've caught them mobile or moving and hunting during the evening. So it's something that you'll read in books, that they sort of lay down and rest at night, very similar to a domesticated dog. But in my personal experience, I've had so many different scenarios that I think we will just remember our little adage that the animals do not read the textbooks and just sort of carry on. And that's very interesting per area that I've worked, as well as per particular pack, and then all of the other reasons that I gave as well. One of my most memorable sightings of my entire decade of guiding was with a pack that I used to work with in the Northwest Province. And we went down to the brand new den site. It's a den site that they had used time and time again. And we got down there and we waited for about 20 minutes, and 12 1-week-old little pups came out and emerged quickly and gave us about a 5-minute view and then went away. So we were checking the den site to see, because we hadn't seen the alpha female, we hadn't seen if she had sort of dropped her litter yet. So we were checking that area just to triple check and see what was going on. And we had a little bit of tracks that were there, and we were surprised by that amazing sighting. I mean, they could fit in the palm of your hand. They were so teeny tiny. The den was then closed for about 3 weeks after that. And then reopened. Wild dog dens in a lot of the places that I've worked before are opened much, much earlier than with lion or leopard den, particularly with leopard dens. Leopard dens tend to be kept sort of off limits for about 3 months, and they don't just have the one den site, they'll have 2 or 3 den sites throughout that period. Lions, it depends, they tend to bring their little ones out and move them around, so sometimes you can catch them here or there, but it's usually the same process as well. And with wild dogs are super relaxed with people and tend not to be as they don't tend not to be pushed as much as long as you're behaving ethically around the den site. And so many of the places I've worked, the dens have been opened up very early, and those pups are absolutely the cutest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. They look exactly like the adults, tiny, 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 covered in these really unique markings. So special. Now, we have talked a lot about IDing lion. We've talked about IDing leopard. We haven't talked about IDing cheetah yet, not with me at least, because we haven't seen any cheetah with me yet. But let's talk about IDing wild dogs. So every coat pattern on a wild dog is unique to the individual. And so the way that you ID them has to do with that coat pattern. And so, for instance, one of the places I used to work, the ecologist needed photos of every dog's left side, every dog's right side, and the whole tail and the face. And that is how you can tell which dog is which, and then they keep a catalog that way. So if you work with a pack for a long time, you can yourself as a guide know who is who. But for me, for instance, I only see this pack every now and then, so I can take photos now and then send them through, and we can have I say cards, but little ID kits, that's what I was looking for, made up, and I'll probably make my own at some point, which will be interesting. It's my nerd adventure on the guiding side. While we're waiting for them to get moving still, let's head on over to James, who has a tortoise. James, unfortunately, this is the laziest pack of wild dogs I have ever encountered. I have never seen dogs sit still for this long, ever. Usually their ADD is way too much, but I think they're obviously just extremely comfortable here. The only other time I've seen this pack was maybe 100 meters from here, not far. They definitely, this is a nice space for them. They feel extra super comfortable. Again, it's gotten even cooler since the last time we spoke. And the other half of the pack that we were with in the beginning, where the visual wasn't 100%, they are moving a bit more than this part of the pack. So I have a feeling that shortly, and by shortly it could be 5 minutes, it could be 25 minutes, we'll have to wait and see, that part of the pack will come up and join this part, and then they'll do their greeting that I absolutely love with their whining sounds, and then they'll start moving and they'll head off. So I was saying to Vildy, what I would like for them to do is that part of the pack must come greet this part of the pack. They must do their whole thing. Then they must run down Vuatella access, and they must go to quarantine, where we know there's lots of wildebeest and impala. Now, for those of you that don't really like a hunt, I'm so sorry if any of that's offensive, but if you want to see nature in action and you want to see predator-prey interaction, wild dog and prey interaction is, for me, the epitome. It is the top, especially if you get a nice open area, because then you can see how they function and how they look and how they smell. I've told the story before about the dogs that chased the impala to the side of my vehicle, and she jumped, and they estimated the whole jump in the arc, and they caught her there on the other side. They're magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. Now, that would be something that's interesting. I used to get a lot of guests when I was still driving. Guests that would ask why we don't track the animals with a drone. And I used to say, the animals need to be able to go where they need to go. But wild dogs on a hunt with a drone would be very interesting. Sorry, Faith, I missed your question there. I think that Philip was asking if I had seen a wild dog kill. I will wait there. Sorry, guys. We've got a little bit of a delay between us and Faith. All right, Bill. Sorry, Bill, I think you're asking if I'd ever seen a wild... I'm so sorry, Bill. My comms are a little bit scratchy. I'm not picking up quite what Faith is saying. But things that I have seen with wild dogs, and maybe I'll hit the nail on the head here. I've seen them with their pups. I've seen them hunting. I've seen them interacting. I've seen them get lost and come back together. I've seen them chase leopards up trees. I've seen them chase elephants and then be chased by elephants. I've seen lions killing them. I've unfortunately been with a pack that has gotten rabies and had to help remove the last member of the pack who came into a lodge and was exhibiting signs. So rabies, sometimes they foam, sometimes they don't, but a lot of what you'll see exhibited, especially with wild dogs, is that they're fine with humans, but they come super close, too close. And then this particular one was coming into lodges and started chasing the night guards around, and then lying in the middle of the lounge area. Let's see, what else have I seen wild dogs do? I've had wild dogs make a kill while I was on foot. That was absolutely amazing. That was probably one of the top sightings I've had in my career. Yeah, I don't know. I've been lucky. I've been really lucky with wild dogs. One of my most recent sightings was when I was in Zambia, and there was pups, and there were hooded vultures around. Hooded vultures like to not only eat carrion, but they also like to eat the dung, or the scat rather, of predators. And they were busy coming down trying to eat the scat, and the little pups were chasing these hooded vultures. And then later in the evening, a hyena came up near where the wild dogs were moving, and they chased the spotted hyena off. The poor hyena was so scared. I was not expecting those dogs. I've also been part of a relocation project with wild dogs. So in South Africa in particular, there's been a huge amount of work done on relocating dogs. There's a place called De Wild that helps raise up dogs and then repopulate in the wild. And there's a few other places that do some work, but that's the one that I've heard the most about. Now, relocating wild dogs is a very tricky process. It takes a lot of time and effort. And the first time I was ever encountered this scenario was up in the northern side of Limpopo province, and we had two partitions. We had males and females on either side, and we were working with a researcher, and she was very good at what she was doing, and so there was a partition in the middle, and they had greeted and they'd been with each other long enough, so they decided that okay, they'd be fine. And when they lifted up this partition, unfortunately these dogs just started killing each other. There was something off about that, so that relocation didn't go very well, but the next one went very well. I was part of a relocation in Namibia that went very well, and I was working in a national park when they did a large relocation there that went really, really well. So there's a lot of people trying to help these numbers rehabilitate and get back to where we need them to be. It's absolutely fascinating. So while we're busy waiting for them to move so that we can see some action, let's head back to James, who I believe has an antelope species that these wild dogs might like to eat. We have them moving and greeting each other. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a little bit quiet at the moment, but let's just listen. They haven't quite started doing their whining yet. I have a feeling they're going to move over to the other part of the pack. If they do, don't worry, we'll move. But how incredible. Remember, we talk a lot about dominance and submissive behavior. You're seeing a lot of that here. You're also seeing them having a nice big poo. Smelly poo, wild dog poo is the worst. I'm amazed at how quiet they're being. Now that to me signals that they're at the edge of their territory. That's very interesting because earlier I said they like this spot, they're comfortable in this spot, but as quiet as they're being is now showing me that possibly maybe they're even over their edge. Let me just move the car around very quickly so that we can catch them on the other side with the rest of the pack. Oh, super exciting. Oh, we have want to pay off here. I'm just going to stop here. Can we hear them? Absolutely fantastic. Notice the excitement in the tails. All right, now it gets tricky. Now following them gets very tricky. Okay. Looks like most of the pack has moved a little bit more this way, and they're going to zigzag tactic, but it's fabulous. All right, let's go, everybody, let's go. The wild dogs. Wildy, careful of the branches, my darling. Okay. So from 0 to 60 in half a second. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be just busy driving through these bushes a little bit, so excuse the back of my head. Also don't want to knock Wildy off the car. There we go. Thanks, Wildy. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So half the pack stopped here a little bit. We can watch them. So this is going to be interesting driving for me and very interesting camera work for Wildy. So just bear with us. Now, amazingly, they've done something that other predators do, which is they get very, very active. And now they're tired again. Some of them are lying down. The rest of the pack was moving in the background there. And still going at it a little bit up and down. These ones here, oh, Shan, that one has worms. They do get worms, similar to your dogs at home. All right, let me maneuver a little bit because I can just see the rest of the pack moving about in the background. H. Macy, you're saying I love a good wild dog chase. H. Macy, me too, my friend. We can see them just a little bit through there, having a bit of a romp around. Okay, so remember earlier I said my wish was they must get moving, they must go down Vudetella access, and then they must go to quarantine. They're looking like they're going in that direction. But now their normal place where they are is west of us, over our western boundary. Shame you also have worms, unfortunately. But what's amazing about this as well, especially with this light that we're having, is you can actually see these colors on and the patterns on these coats like we've been talking about for the past little while. The light's very good for it. All right, so screenshots, guys, that when the ears are forward and they're doing things like that, like biting flies, that's what I would definitely take screenshot of. We'll put that in our catalog of amazing things we've seen. More grooming of each other there. It's called allo grooming. Benedicta, very interesting question. You're curious to know if I can tell who the alpha is. So earlier we were chatting about how I haven't actually spent much time with this pack, so I'm unaware who the alphas are. But there was one male who kept sitting up and looking at us and who looked in very good condition. And I was saying to VM that if I had to pick an alpha, the alpha male, that would have been him. Now, because I don't know them well enough and I don't know their coat patterns well enough off the top of my head, I can't now tell you which one he is. I'm just going to have to wait and see. Also, I might have to get a hold of some of the guys that are working farther west from us and see if they can give me a few updates and a few tips on the alpha female, alpha male with regarding photos. And then the next time I see them, it'll be easier for me to be able to tell you exactly who's who in the zoo. Well, we're not actually in a zoo, but that's the catchphrase, as it were. Okay, so our excitement has now died down, but that's okay. Once they start moving, they're gonna keep doing it. So they've moved, they've greeted, they're excited, and now they're just going to rest a little bit more, and then they're definitely going to start moving. I am not going anywhere. We are going to definitely stay with them. Sorry, Lou. Oh, and welcome back, Lou, from Leave. So happy to hear you in my ear. Lou, I heard that Monique had a question, but I didn't hear the full one. Oh, Monique, you're curious if the dogs with worms will be able to get rid of them. So that's a very good question, Monique. I don't know if there's anything in nature that they naturally would eat to help assist with the worms. I can ask some friends and see if they know. Some of my friends that are still doing research with wild dogs. But as far as I know, once they have the worms, they have the worms. But that's just off the top of my head. So, Monique, we don't interfere. We're not going to give them worm medication. They're wild animals and must take care of themselves, and we're lucky enough to be able to watch them in their natural environments. One of the things that is so amazing about being able to do this. So in that respect, no, we're not. We can't help them that way. But then I don't know. There might be sometimes when their belly is hurt, they will eat grass. Very similar. Lions do the same thing. Leopards do the same thing when they've got indigestion. Similar to your domesticated dog or even your domesticated cat. So I wonder if maybe that will help purge slightly. But yeah, again, as I said, as far as I know, the worms are there. Joy, you're curious if allo grooming is similar to hello grooming? Am I pronouncing what you're asking there correctly? Oh, sorry. Well, Lou, you could warn me. Yeah, sorry. I didn't pick up on that. I'm too serious right now. I'm too excited. My ability to pick up on the joke was not good. Sorry, Lou. I'm sorry. Sorry, Joy. I'm extremely gullible, by the way. So the person where you said gullible is written on the ceiling, I would be the person that would look up. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, go back to the dogs, Billy. Shame. Dogs, you gave us so much excitement, and now you're being very boring. Richley, you're curious if the alpha will always lead the chase. So sometimes the alpha male will lead the chase, sometimes the alpha female will lead the chase, and sometimes it will be one of the other ones. It depends on who has the best advantage and who has the best chance of getting what they're after. Okay, so now this is the ADD behavior we were talking about before. Rocky, you're curious to know if there's an individual in this pack with a collar on. Rocky, all the individuals that I've seen here today, and I think we've counted 12 in total, no collar. As far as I know, this pack and some of the other packs that we work with in this area are uncollared. In general, it is very good to not interfere with animals in that way, with collaring or with microchipping or anything like that. They can sometimes die when you have to interfere like that. When it's a good thing for something like wild dog research to have a collar is when you have areas that people do not frequent very much, or you can't get a vehicle in, and then it would be a GPS collar, and then the data will go up to a satellite and then come into your computer. But this pack, no. And look, I mean, there's enough game drive vehicles out, and their territory is in a well-traversed game drive areas. There would really be no need to collar them. Okay, now we have most of the individuals in this pack are heads up and then down, heads up and then down, and then rolling around. This is the normal type of dog behavior that you're going to see, that constant movement. So the heat of the day earlier in their full bellies gave them a coma state. I also just think that this pack is probably just the laziest pack I've seen in general, or they're just extremely comfortable within their pack dynamic. That's also a possibility as well. There's a screenshot for you guys. Beautiful. Notice how dark the eyes are from a photographer's side of things. That dark eye makes it very difficult to photograph. To get the best photographs, you almost have to be lying down on your belly. One of the best places to go and do that is in monopools, where much of the activities are walking based, and much of my friends that do photographic groups up there do a lot on foot and get these amazing shots of wild dogs from low angles and get those beautiful sparkling eyes in them. I have yet to be up to monopools. It is very, very, very high on my list. Very high. It's also a place where you tend to see a lot of elephants standing on their legs with their forelimbs hanging and reaching high up into trees. I've seen it on other places as well, but a lot of my friends that head up that side get this amazing images from that. So sorry, we've got another game drive vehicle that's coming behind us. The wild dogs on the move and getting active like this is definitely a draw for everybody. I know you guys are all super excited, so they're also super excited as well. Oh, shame. Also a little bit of rubbing and itching there. Okay, so now we've got a few that have been sort of on the outskirts moving around. We've got this one that's having an absolute blast rubbing in the grass there. They also get ticks and parasites very similar to lion and to leopard. I also get tick bites when I do bushwalks as well. And so this movement is then going to galvanize the rest of them to also have movements. There, we've got a little loo break for that one. And we'll excite them. They're very good at revving each other up and not just copycatting or imitating each other, but it's the excitement. They're probably the happiest species you will see out here. They're always excited. They're always positive. I would equate a wild dog to your friend who, no matter what, without having caffeine and without doing any sort of exercise, is just, oh my goodness, and today is wonderful and how amazing everything is. That friend that you have, that's what a wild dog is in the bush. Ooh, Lena, you're asking what my favorite wild dog experience is. Oh my goodness, Lena, I have so many. We talked about those little pups that I was able to see earlier. We've talked about how the impala that was caught on the side of the vehicle when the impala jumped right over the bonnet of my vehicle. We talked about me seeing a wild dog kill on foot. Oh my goodness. It's going to take me a moment to think about that. I'd also be curious to know what James's favorite wild dog moment is as well. James has been guiding longer than I have, and I'm sure he's had some amazing experiences. I would be keen to know. What else? I don't know. Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a complete blank now. Now I'm racking my brain. Actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, about 5 or 6 years ago when I was working up in Zambia, again, I was driving the owner of the camp that I was working at. I was driving his mom, and at that point, they hadn't seen wild dog very often since sort of 1998, 1999, maybe even earlier than that. And we were just on the Bumble, a little Bumble, just the two of us along one of the edges of the river there, the South Luangwa River. And across the river, I see this movement. I said to her, I swear that's wild dog. She's like, no, we never see wild dog here. I was like, I swear. And they swam across the shallow river and then onto our side and then started chasing puku around. A puku is a type of antelope species that occurs up there. And that was a really good sighting. And because she also hadn't seen them since, the kids were small and for a very long time, that was very special. I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed it because for her, she hadn't seen them for so long. And then also, of course, the chase was just incredible. All right, well, I was really convinced that they were going to get moving again, but it looks like they're going to rest a little bit more before they do that. So let's head over to James so long while we wait and see what they do. We are waking up a little bit, James, but we've jinxed ourselves because this one's going to lie down again. All of that excitement, all of that build-up, that beautiful greeting and the movement, and then they've just found a nice little spot to curl up again. So my guesstimate is going to be within the next 10 minutes, they're really going to start moving. Because again, their twitching is getting pretty hectic and their movement is occurring more and more now. Ears constantly alert, constantly listening. And I also don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to stay in the sighting, unfortunately, because we're not allowed to view them at night. We're not allowed to put a torch on them, and we don't follow them in the dark. We've been lucky thus far. We've been able to stay in the sighting, and the other vehicles have rotated through with their guests. So I'm going to do the best that I can to stay with them as long as I possibly can, but our time might end up being cut. Well, I wouldn't say short. We've been with them for quite a while, but we might have to hand over to somebody else shortly, just to let you all know. So I'm hoping before that happens that they play nice, get up, move, run down the road. I'm still really hoping for a kill. I haven't seen a kill in 2 months now, so I'm having a bit of withdrawal. Predator interaction between predators is one of my ultimate things to view and to speak about, and then my other is predator-prey interaction. Whether they actually manage to make the kill or don't, just the whole process behind it is absolutely fantastic and breathtaking for me in particular. I get not just a thrill out of it, but I just enjoy watching how the predator thinks and how the prey thinks and the reactions to each other. Thad, you're asking if only the alpha pair of the wild dogs reproduce. And that is true, Thad. For any of the guys that were watching a little bit earlier with us, we briefly touched on it. And then, so they're the only ones that will mate and reproduce, but if for some reason the alpha female cannot have pups, maybe sometimes she's sterile, or in some populations, specifically within South Africa, the wild dogs are on contraceptives to control the numbers. And one of the packs that I worked with, that was happening, because if you have too many wild dogs in an area, they take out the prey species to a point where the ecosystem can't function properly. You really have to monitor wild dogs in closed ecosystems. And one of the packs that I was familiar with from game drives, all of a sudden they had pups, and it was the beta female who gave birth, and it's because the alpha was unable to because she was on contraceptives. So also natural systems occur where sometimes a predator cannot get pregnant, and with wild dogs, and the beta female would be the one that would have little ones. Bumbo Girl, you're curious to know what the average number of pups is in a litter. They can have up to 22 or 23. I think that's the most that's been recorded. The average litter size that I have seen is 12, with about 9 to 10 surviving. But again, that is all dependent upon food resources and size of the pack and genetics as well. Sorry, I keep going quiet every now and then. So you all have heard me mention before, I've got this little monitor that's in front so I can see what Vildy is focusing on. And every now and then I just get so enthralled with how close the camera can get that I'm actually staring, like you all are staring at your screens. I'm staring at it and watching the wild dogs. And I don't own a television, so whenever there's something like that in the room, if you don't own a TV, you sort of get sucked in, and I keep getting sucked into these amazing visuals and just at how crisp and clear they are, and how much detail is there. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, just noticing as well with this pack, usually within packs you can see that there's some that's sort of a strain, so there'll be more black or more tawny or more white within the pattern coloration. And with this pack in particular, I'm noticing that they all have quite a mixed variety. There's the couple have a slight bit more of white and a couple a little bit tawny, but there's no definitive sort of color over the other ones. One of the packs that I used to work with, there was a gene that came in, and a lot of them were very, very, very dark. They had a lot of black on them. And then another pack that I worked with had quite a lot of white on them. This pack is very mixed. Is there standby one? Sorry. Lynn, you're curious to know if there's instances where domesticated dogs and African wild dogs have interbred. Lynn, domesticated dogs and African wild dogs are not related at all. There is no, so their genus and species is different. So the African painted wolf or African wild dog is Lycianus pictus, if I'm remembering correctly, and then a domesticated dog, I think, is Canis canis. I know a wolf is Lupus lupus. So Lupus, Canis canis, and Lycianus pictus, because the genus, which is the first word in those names I gave, and then the species is the second, because the genus is all a different word, a different name, they cannot interbreed. So the same as with black rhino and white rhino. Black rhino is Diceros bicornis, and a white rhino, is Serothenum cinum. Different species, they can't, different genuses, they cannot interbreed. So the connection between the African wild dog and a domesticated dog is very abstract. It's not a direct connection. So 3 million years ago, there was a species, and off that species branched African painted wolf, African wild dog, and wolves. And then millions of years later, domesticated dogs branched off of wolves. So long story short, no, there's been no scenario of that. All right, James has an amazing raptor with a kill, so let's head on over to him and have a look. Hi guys, hi. They are on the move. I do have to correct myself though. I misremembered my scientific names for wolves and for dogs. Vildy heard something and was like, nope, I don't think that's quite correct. And then we went and we triple checked. So a domesticated dog is Canis lupus familiaris, and a wolf is Canis lupus lupus. So technically dogs and wolves have the same genus, and so they can interbreed. So I just wanted to correct on that. So sorry for my misremembrance of that particular information. Oh, beautiful, and look at the beautiful light. right, please take some screenshots for me and send them to me. I do not have access to my camera at the moment, and I'm absolutely dying. They're going to come right into the road. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. And they're going to run straight down Vuyatela access, I'm telling you now, and they're going to go to quarantine. If you think things enough, it will happen. This is going to happen. I'm too excited. Way too excited. Here they come out into the road. No, don't go that way. Go straight, man. Go straight. Go straight. They're listening slightly. Slightly. I'm way too excited. Way. Look at that beautiful light. Absolutely stunning. The whole pack's going to come out into the road just now. They're slowly going to file through. Here we go. Stunning. And behind us, Vildi is having so many good shots. I think it's hard to pick which one will be best. I think I like the one in front here. Duck down so you guys can see as they file across. Okay, so it doesn't look like they're going to go straight down Vuyatela access like I was hoping. But you can see them beautifully out in the open. Big ears, long legs, beautifully colored bodies. Ooh, maybe they will. So remember I said they've got ADD, so trying to direct where they're going is difficult. It's not the same as a lion or a leopard or a cheetah who tend to walk straight. Wild dogs have their own made-up mind. They are, however, easier to track and to follow than hyenas. Spotted hyenas are near impossible to do that. So they found something really interesting to smell. There in the grass, and then of course smelling each other. Doing a little bit of grooming of some very intimate parts. Okay, now they're choosing to head more south and west as opposed to east like we were hoping. Some of the pack is still busy licking and grooming each other. I'm going to go with the front end of the pack and follow them through. So I'm just going to loop a little bit because the movement is what we want, the hunt is what we want, the chase is what we want. And remember we were talking about these open areas are so good for things like impala and wildebeest and other prey species. You can hear I'm absolutely, completely crazy in my excitement. So I'm actually having trouble finding words because the anticipation of what I know could possibly happen is too much. It's absolutely too much. So please excuse all the bumping and diving and meandering. And Vildi, if I hit you with a branch, I'm so sorry. Okay, they were just over here to the side. I don't want to lose the front of them. Let's come through here. There they are. Monique, you're saying each dog is like a work of art. Monique, definitely, they are like a work of art. Monique, if you really like art, just thinking, there's an amazing South African artist his name's Mel Elliott. He does this work, so he comes out into the bush and he takes photographs and then he goes home and he paints them. And my very good friend has guided him before. He's absolutely incredible and he loves wild dogs. He's got some of the most amazing wild dog artwork I've ever seen. So you can maybe Google him, look him up. It's absolutely breathtaking work. There's another woman who also does some good work, and I can't actually think of her name at the moment. It'll come to me. Okay, they should be just in here. There we go. They're going to come out right here in front of us. Fantastic. Wunderbar. Oh, I'm just absolutely over the moon right now. Now, something I love about the Leopard, especially the part of the Leopard that we're in right now, is it looks a bit thick, but where we are is going to have enough space for us in particular with the small size vehicle we have to meander and really follow the best that we possibly can. The whole pack is going to come running right past us. Oh, stunning. If this one's, oh no, he's not going to do it. If we can get another one to sort of stop in that general area and then look up with their eyes, you can see that beautiful amber color. There's just a teeny bit of sunlight that's poking through. And they're stopping and smelling and listening. The wind is pushing from behind us, so that any scent of any prey species that's ahead of them, the scent is going to go right towards them. With sounds as well. Remember, we talked about their ears, their big, big ears, and their ability to listen really well. Oh, here they come. I have goosebumps, people. I have goosebumps. Oh my goodness. Can we hear them a little bit? Just the grass rustling. So that's all you can hear when these predators are moving, is just that little bit of grass. Other than that, they're completely silent. And we talked about earlier, their initial greeting was very quiet. Then the second greeting we got, they had a little bit of excitement, but it wasn't as loud as it usually is. And I definitely think we're going to see some sort of action here tonight. All right, so I'm going to loop around again. We're going to do our best to keep visual of them. It's going to take a bit of work, a bit of skill, a bit of luck. All right, sorry, I just need to let the game drive guys know. Station's just an update with these Mushloa. Station's just an update with these Mushloa. They are mobile south away from Sandy Patch in the block. I'm doing my best to keep with them. We're going to pop up under power lines in about 30 seconds and then head over towards Impala Plains. I'll keep you updated as best as I can. All right. Sorry, little trees. Got our road coming up. Now, what I don't want them to do is I don't want them to go into the drainage line because I won't be able to follow them through there. And I also would like for them to stay sort of going south and a little bit east because it means we'll be able to stay with them longer. If they go too far west, we will not be able to follow them because that will be our border. Here we go. Here they go, straight down the road. Gremlins General, you're curious if wild dogs bark like domesticated dogs. They don't. They whoop. They go hoo, hoo, hoo. And they make that greeting call we heard earlier. I'm very bad at imitating. It's not a giggle. It's more like a high-pitched whine. But no, they don't bark. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Now you see they're moving quicker. That's not because of us. They've seen something or something's happening, something's getting them excited. It could be the ones in front. It could be something that they smell. We will really just have to wait and see. All right, now we've got a vehicle that's just ahead of us who's busy doing some photography. I'm not going to follow through there. What I am going to do is I'm going to go through here because I don't want to ruin their shot. Those guys are looping ahead of us to be able to get similar scenarios that we're getting as well. And they've got some amazing camera equipment, so I really don't want to disturb them in any way. And we also have our tiny little car clear, so I can meander in places that they cannot. I'm doing right now. Sorry. Now we're coming up to a place, Vildy, hold on, that has usually good prey activity. There's a big knob thorn here. Sorry, gory tree. All right, don't worry, guys. My goodness. Yes, I'm so sorry, guys. We lost signal there, but we just got up and they've made a kill. It looks like they've killed a baby impala. This is so exciting. They've ripped it apart already within mere seconds. We were just busy going over our trees, and then here we are. And I can tell that it was a baby impala because it's pretty much gone. You can just see around their faces, there's a little bit of red in there. Oh, how absolutely incredibly exciting. This is just too much. Too much. We knew they were going to do it. We knew they were going to come to an area. We knew they were going to make a kill. And we've got the tail end to show you. So now they're just busy getting the little bits of scraps. There they run. So this is just, this one you can see in front with all of the ooh, there's a leopard chasing them. There's a leopard chasing them. Oh my goodness, you guys see? There's a leopard. There's a huge male leopard that's chasing them. Did you all see that? How absolutely incredible. Go. This is just insane. Absolutely insane. This is probably one of the most amazing things you guys will see. I've never... Watch what's going to happen here. This is absolutely incredible. I'm just going to come around the corner. So the dogs got chased by that leopard. The leopard's now moving off, but now the dogs are going completely nutty. Here's the big male leopard. It looks like Tingana. The dogs are now going to circle back around. They're going to go back towards this male leopard. Here they come. I'm going to back up because we're going to get this male leopard coming past us, and we're going to get those dogs coming through again. Just stay with me, guys. Stay with me. This is absolutely out of this world. So now this male leopard is moving just here, just us. I'm just giving us a bit of a gap here. I think the dogs were definitely taken off of, what's my word? Guys, I can't even find my word. The dogs were taken by surprise completely by this male. And we talked about this earlier where dogs chase males up. And Vildy was actually saying how amazing it would be if Tingana came and chased them off. I think the only reason that this male came and chased them the way that he did is because of that kill. Because you can see where he's smelling is exactly where they had killed that young impala. And the dogs are not far from here. I'm really surprised they haven't regrouped and come back. But oh, here they come. They're coming. Listen to the noises. Watch. There runs the leopard. The leopard now, because the dogs have regrouped, the leopard is moving off. The dogs are busy making these grunting noises. I'm not going to move from where we are because those dogs are going to come past us just now. They're moving just in front of those vehicles there. That leopard's going, oh, and you've got a picture of the kill, what's left of that baby impala. Oh my goodness. Okay, so if we were ever to record anything and play back anything from Safari Live, this would be it. Oh, the leopard's gone up a tree. This is too good. This is way too good. I've got two other vehicles with me in this sighting. I mean, these guests are just having a blast. Check these dogs here. Check the tails. Look how excited they are. Now they're going to look to see where did that leopard go? Smelling. Oh, look in the beautiful sunlight reflecting off the back. A little bit of a backlight in there. Listen. They're searching for this leopard. They're searching for him. They're making little grunty noises. They're all coming together. They're banding together. Oh, this is too good. They've seen the leopard in the tree. They've seen him in the tree. There he is. Check. Yes. Oh, my goodness, guys. Oh, my goodness. Now, listen. Vildy, am I too close? Do you want me to back up? How insane! How absolutely insane! Oh, well worth the wait, everybody. Well worth the wait. Shame, I'm pretty sure this is Tingana, but guys, we just had a nice view there. You must triple check for me. Poor Tingana. You think, sorry? Mvula. Oh, sorry. Vildy said Mvula. Oh, with the big stocky legs. Hey, Vildy. Now, interesting, if this is Mvula, Mvula is older than Tingana as far as I know and has a lot more experience with scenarios like this. I would assume just because of age. He's going to lie down and watch these dogs now. This is just incredible. And we were talking about dogs chasing leopards and interactions between predators and kills, and we got it all. We got it all in one sighting. Everybody, I can't even begin to describe to you how insane this is. Well, you're watching. Of course I can describe it to you. You're all watching with me. I keep forgetting because you're not on the car with me and you're at home and I'm looking around and I'm staring at Vildy and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. And I mean, I can't. I don't have words, guys. All right, let's listen to this dog. Guys, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to leave. There's too many game drive vehicles who want to go. I'm going to have to extract myself. But how incredible. This was so incredible. I can't even begin to describe. All right. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. Just give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to let Vildy keep watching the dogs with you all, and I'm going to call us out. Stations, I'm leaving the lock. There's Mashloa and one Modora Ingwe here, the northeastern side of Impala Plains. Visual on Mashloa and Modora Ingwe is 5-5. Leaving Taxon on lock and in charge, one other station with him in the lock. Affirmative, yeah, just speak with Tax. Let him take you in. I'm just still busy on air, but yeah, come. There's visual of everything. They bumbad manyani ma pimpan mala. Still busy with that. There's lots going on. Enjoy. Oh my goodness, everybody. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm sorry. So I've got a very dear friend who works in the Timbavati, which is not far from us. And we routinely call each other and talk about sightings we have. And a lot of the time he calls and says, oh, I saw this today, I saw that today. And I'm like, yeah. I am itching to make a call. I'm going to send him the link from the show tonight with a big sort of crazy little emoji with a smiley face and a tongue sticking out. I mean, I can't even deal. How insane. I want to know what you all think. Tell me what you think. Paula being killed, wild dog chasing leopard. So incredible. Hi everyone, hello. Other guys are coming in. They want to see, of course, because that is absolutely, I don't have words. There are no words. It's so nice when we talk about things and experiences and sightings, and then it actually happens. It doesn't happen often. I mean, you all would know. You watch the show. A lot of you watch the show every day. And we tell you stories. All of the presenters tell you stories about things we've seen or things we hope to see. And we had all of it come together in one fell swoop. Oh, I think I'm going to lose my voice from utter excitement and from talking too much. I can't even deal. So I'm very lucky to do what I do and be able to do this every day. But that sighting right there, this high that I'm on right now will last a very, very long time. So we have to thank Murphy for providing us with that. Absolutely crazy. Cats in Tampa, you're saying what an epic sighting. It was absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I totally agree. Hashtag epic. Hashtag Safari Live. Hashtag oh my goodness gracious. I can't. Vildy's face is like, yeah, Deb straight. Too good. Okay, guys, do we have any questions about what happened? I know that I was blabbering away like a crazy person, and then we were also trying to listen. So if there's any questions you have about any of the movements or the actions or the way the tail was going, please send them through. It's also very cool because we can go back and we can look at the footage again. Lisa, you're curious to know if the wild dogs would be able to get the leopard easily. Lisa, I've never seen dogs actually kill a leopard. I've just seen that chase that you saw now. the leopards are quite agile, and also, I mean, if a leopard turns around and gets their claws stuck in one of those dogs, that dog is done. So that sort of hounding and mobbing and chasing it up, and then they'll keep it up that tree until they're finished with those little baby impala legs, and then even then they might still chase it about, and then they'll just like this turn on tail and move off and carry on. Insane. Absolutely insane. I can't deal. I need some apple juice to calm down. Oh my goodness. Later. We can all cheers with our apple juice later. Okay, well, with a sobering moment, there's a really beautiful sunset that's happening. If anyone is keen for it, we can do a little bit of that while we all catch our breaths. Whew. Now, what's interesting